Hi there, for everyone just joining, take a moment and fill out our poll. We're going to get started in about 1 minute, but you can start by just filling out the poll for us. You should see it on your screen. The question is, how familiar are you with the circular economy concept?
Great, well, thank you. That's really interesting. It seems like we have a group here somewhat familiar with circular economy. Almost everybody wants to grow their own food. Most of you don't. And the consensus seems to be it's mostly a lack of space with smaller amounts of time and money. Cool, everyone, I'm Jonathan Pereira from Plant Chicago. We're a nonprofit organization on the southwest side of Chicago. Our mission is to cultivate local circular economies. This is a workshop today, and we don't have enough time enough time that I'd like to be able to do all the things I want to do. Since it is a workshop, I want to set this up so we have time to talk in breakout rooms and small groups as much as possible. I do have a Google Doc that I think Julia has shared or will be sharing with you that we're going to try and co-create something together, focusing on a concept that we're piloting this winter, just an indoor victory garden in our new location on the southwest side of Chicago. I am going to rocket through some slides here. Since you all have somewhat familiarity with circular economy, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. If you're not familiar with what it is or what it is, I think the easiest way to talk about it is what it isn't. It isn't linear. These are very simplified diagrams based on some other things that we've seen in Ellen MacArthur Foundation publications, Cradle to Cradle, and lots of other thought leaders in this space. But essentially, the circular economy is attacking this problem of us living in a world of finite resources, yet we're operating as if there are infinite resources to consume. Like I said, Plant Chicago's mission, we focus on cultivating local circular economies. So we're really focusing on what can happen at the local, what can and is happening at the local level to divert materials, keep the highest and best value of materials and systems, but also looking at, because we are local and working with small, focused on the human side of things as well. So we envision a paradigm shift in production, consumption, and waste, driven at the neighborhood level, generating equity and economic opportunity for all residents. There's no single definition for a circular economy, but some key operative words here. This is what you can find from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation: redefining growth, decoupling economic activity, and designing waste out of the system. And they identify 3 principles of this. So designing out waste and pollution, keeping products and materials in use, and regenerating natural systems. Like I said before, because Plant Chicago operates at a very local level, we work with small businesses and sort of on the ground every day. Just out the window, we're setting up for a market on this 40-degree Fahrenheit day in Chicago. We're thinking a lot more about what can happen on the human side of things. So not just natural systems, but the communities of people that are located around operations. So we view very much the circular economy as a collaborative economic practice sustained by local circulation of materials, nutrients, knowledge, and money. And I can go into more detail this. It's a whole separate lecture and presentation, but I want to get to the meat of what we're doing today. Like any project, we're very highly informed by our location, the physical infrastructure where we're operating, and the surrounding community around us. So like I said, we're on the southwest side of Chicago. Median household income is less than $33,000 a year in this neighborhood, which is even much lower than it's the full $20,000 less per household, the average for Chicago, and that could be high. We have a very high population of youth. About 20% of the neighborhood doesn't speak English. It's been firmly a working class neighborhood since the mid 1800s. We're in a former firehouse right now. We just moved we moved out of our previous meatpacking plant and have moved into a former firehouse on the southwest side of Chicago that we're repurposing into a center for circular economy programming. These are some drawings right now. I won't go into it right now, but that northern section, we have a garage attached to this firehouse, which is what we're focusing on and calling our indoor victory garden. Fancy rendering of the interior of the firehouse. This is more of a communal flexible use space and a mixture of retail as well. On that left part, you can see some windows looking into the indoor victory garden. The left here is the raw space, just the garage, and then a rendering of what we're kind of envisioning. And today, the challenge for all of us right now is thinking about what would a shared use indoor victory garden, what could it look like, what would be the priorities, and how would it align with the circular economy framework. So the problem, like we just outlined, is that many people want to grow their own food, but lack the space, knowledge, equipment, or money to do it. Our concept with the indoor victory garden is a pilot project to remove these barriers and give city residents an opportunity to learn how to grow indoors year round. So teaching people how to do that, giving them different systems to grow on, and they can take it from there. Some assumptions, again, a lot of these could be separate workshops and discussions on their own. We're just going to assume growing your own food is a good thing for a whole host of good reasons. Anybody who does MCA analysis or things or wants to get into like overall carbon impact, great, let's do another lecture on that. But today we're going to assume it's all good. Indoor farming is just one of multiple tools that can help improve our food system. Small scale indoor and urban farmers generally cannot make enough income to support themselves and their family from farming alone. Many people want to grow their own food, but they face obstacles. And of the population with stable housing, so if you have, if you're leasing and you're in a lease that's not going to be broken and you can afford to pay for it, or you own your building, that most could make space indoors to grow food. Now our poll might indicate the opposite there, but we're going to assume that today. So we're about to send you into breakout rooms. Briefly introduce each other, just briefly. Name, your location, and your favorite vegetable. Decide on a group leader. If you're having trouble, do that. Just go with the first person in the alphabet. That group leader is going to be responsible for reporting back at the end of this. Decide on a note taker. Note that anybody can type into the shared document, but just as long as one person is kind of responsible for making sure all of the good ideas you come up with get captured in the Google document. Review and discuss the questions and prompts. So there's about 4 or 5 really to get to. The last one is if you've got time and have the ability to draw something or something you're inspirational, put it at the end. And try to limit your discussion to 3 minutes for each prompt. Okay, so that's your goal right now. Julia is going to just randomly throw you all in the rooms. I'm going to pop in and out there, but I want to give you just an idea of some of the prompts. The first one will be thinking about aligning with some circular economy principles. How can the indoor victory garden do that? No wrong answers here, just throw in your ideas. The next one is more about what would be the top 3 priorities that you'd have for an indoor victory garden? Because there's lots of things you could do with it. Maximizing food production, teaching. I want your group to just pick your top 3. You can't say everything, only your top 3. And then how would you measure success of that? Does that sound good? Awesome. I'm going to see you all soon in breakout rooms, and we're going to come back, and I hope you all have really good discussions in there.
Welcome back, everybody. I know that was a super speedy discussion, so it was like a really speed exercise. I appreciate you guys all for doing that.
Can you all hear me? Yeah, thank you for speeding through that. And again, would love to do more. Just some things. Anybody quick, just want to raise their hand. One interesting thing that came out of your conversation. Maybe have time for one person to share right now. Does anybody want to share? One thing that I noticed was that there seems to be a theme for education and the teaching that nobody seemed to say maximizing food production was the most important thing. One other thing as we go there, yeah, great, thank you. So right here, examples of similar projects. If you all think of things, just maybe even inspirational, other indoor projects like this, would love to hear about it. And please put it in here. Don't worry if you have a hyperlink, great. If not, it's okay. Put it in there. What we didn't have time for is drawing things, which is harder to do when we're not in person. So I will just quickly wrap up by sharing. I think we've got two things. Can you see my screen now? It's back at a PowerPoint. Yeah. So based on conversations we've had and just the limitations of our space, what we're focusing on is providing, we're not trying to maximize food production, but providing a number of different types of systems of growing indoors, so people who are interested can experiment with different forms of it, knowing that there are some systems that probably could fit in a very small space. So I think many of us think we don't have enough space, and I used to live in New York, and certainly would measure little tiny inches trying to figure out how to maximize the amount of space for furniture, whether I could fit a chair or a table somewhere. But I think everyone does have a little bit of space to grow something as well. So we've got 4 different systems that have the ability to test 5 or 6 different ways. And one other thing that we are throwing into the mix as well is experimenting with liquid digestate as an input for the system. So as a part of our mission to divert materials from the landfill, actually being able to accept small amounts of food scraps, organic material, to turn that into liquid digestate. We do not want to dump any of the fluid or the nutrients down the drain, so we can keep recycling them through as well. If you're in Chicago, want to check us out, we've got a market every Saturday, Pumpkin Smash. We'll be collecting 3 tons of pumpkins and then sending those off to be composted. There's my information. We're at our time right now, or 1 more minute. If anybody have a question or a thought to end this session, something inspirational or positive to send us on our way. Anybody?
Well, this is Corinna. I could just add that I've visited the plant multiple times before, and it's a wonderful place to learn and to explore, and also to have a good glass of the local the beer brewed locally at the plant.
Cool. We've actually, as a nonprofit, we have moved on from that facility. It's now fully a community of for-profit businesses. So after 8 years, there's no longer a nonprofit attached there. We're just a few blocks away in a former firehouse, trying some new things here. So yeah, it's a great community. We love it. Anything else?
Yeah, I have one question. I would like to know, so if we indeed have the space to grow food at home, then how long does it typically take to grow the things you are potentially eating? Because if it is not, I mean, you eat certain things in a weekly basis, is that even feasible, or you would still need to rely on other sources of food production?
Yeah, you're not going to be, you cannot sustain yourself by growing indoors. I think what we're talking about is augmenting your diet. Typically what most people, the easiest thing and the fastest things are greens. If you're just growing, for yourself, highest turnaround, less nutrient and energy input. Yeah, but you can grow other things, and that's why we're having these different systems for people to experiment, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Figure out what's best for yourself in your own space.
Thank you so much to Jonathan for hosting this really wonderful interactive workshop. I think people really got a lot out of it. At 11:40, you guys can all pop into our auditorium. Ginger Creek Dozier is going to be talking about her company Biomason and sort of using bacteria to grow bricks out of sand. So with that, we want to thank you all for joining. I'm going to just stay on. You can find your way out. If you have a last minute question, maybe Jonathan, you can stick around for 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone else, thank you so much for joining this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and have a great day.
Thank you so much to everyone for joining this shotgun session.